This is our Bethany School STEM project, the More Heating Solution, designed and produced by Max, Alex and Will. We created our project because heating houses can require up to 30,000 kilowatts of energy each year. Around 100 million tons of CO2 emissions are produced because of this, which is a quarter of the UK's CO2 emissions. We wanted to change this.
After some brainstorming, we came up with the idea of a heater that was simple, cheap, and made from readily available materials that households could normally take to the landfill. We wanted the heater to be recreated anywhere in the world. Our idea was to use energy from the sun to heat up cans and the surrounding air, which could then be transferred to a house. We set about planning a number of 3D models before choosing the most promising model.
Our heater is made from over 100 recycled soft drink cans, all of which have a hole drilled in them to allow for the passage of air. The cans are housed inside a case that is insulated to increase the efficiency of the heater. A sheet of glass is then placed on top of the heater. As the sun heats up the cans, the surrounding air temperature in the case will increase. The heated air is then pushed through the cans by solar-powered fans at the other end of the heater. This air is then pushed out by the second solar-powered fan in the house.
The heated air is then used to heat up the house. 2 temperature sensors will be fitted on either ends of the heater to measure the temperature of the air at the inlet and the outlet. And it will also help the user to check if the heater is working properly. The temperature sensors will also be used to measure the efficiency of the heater so that we can improve the design parameters. We think that our project would be best suited for countries which have cold winters but above average sunshine. Mongolia is practically a perfect example of where our project could be used. It is a LEDC that would largely benefit from cheap heating, especially because temperatures can fall to -20 degrees C during the winter months. Our project would likely also help the country develop. If Mongolia had cheap heating, it would mean that people in the country could then spend more money sending their kids to school or getting a stable internet connection. This would then make a huge difference to Mongolia's development, and that is only one of many countries that our project could be used in.
Our project could either be replicated and adapted to suit many individual needs, or a simple kit could be produced that has everything required to build it and is easily put together so that even the average person could build their own. Our own project is relatively simple to set up. After creating the heater, it could be set up in a house in less than a day by a professional.
Throughout building the More Heating solution, we decided that the best way to create the heater was to split the work accordingly to our individual skills. For example, Will and I are particularly good and experienced at using 3D software to design our project. So, we decided to create the models. Alex, however, is particularly good at organizing the team and making sure that all of the suggested ideas are considered, no matter how good or how bad they are. This division of skills contributed strongly to the success of the project. As you might expect, we came across and had to resolve a number of problems. One example was that we found it very challenging to drill holes in the cans because the metal is very thin. This caused the cans to deform easily, and we wanted to make sure none of the cans had been deformed because it would reduce the quality of the product and increase the drag inside of the can. Also, the drill could easily cause injuries on our hands. We could not use a G-clamp to hold the cans because this caused the cans to deform. We found that drilling enough holes at each end of the can and then collapsing the ends of the cans to make a larger hole was the safest way to do it.
Another challenge that we came across was making our heater was the difficulty of securing the cans to the heater. At first, we thought we could use adhesive glue to stick them down to the heater. However, there were many concerns that this potentially melt during high temperatures that the heater could reach if it was used during a very sunny or hot day. We then went to the drawing board and came up with the idea of welding together a metal frame that we could push the cans together. This means that the cans would not fall out. However, After our first failed attempt at creating this frame, we realised that it would have to be extremely precise. We could not afford for the metal frame to be too big or too small, about 0.5 centimetres, and the angles at each corner had to be exactly 90 degrees, otherwise it would not fit inside the heater. However, after a lot of time, practice and failure, we were able to create a frame that fits inside the case perfectly.
To complete our project, we need to fit a glass cover over the box for sunlight to pass through and heat the cans and the air. And temperature sensors will also be fitted at either ends of the heater. We will also be doing lots of testing to make sure that the heater is as efficient as it possibly can be. For example, we will be experimenting with different types of paint and trying to find out which one would generate the most heat and would be the best one to apply to the cans.
Another test that I'll be doing is experimenting with different sizes of fans and seeing which size will allow hot air to pass through the heater quickly. But we can't have it going too quickly, otherwise the air won't heat up. We will also be considering the amount of energy required to use these fans. There are a few examples of many tests that I'll be doing to make sure that the heater is as efficient as it can possibly be.
However, it's possible that in Mongolia, solar-powered fans might not be very easy to find. Therefore, we will also be testing if the case actually needs fans. If we tilted the heater case to about 60 degrees, our hypothesis is that convection current would form. The cold air at the bottom could heat up in the case, and then the air gets less dense and rises, moving through the case and into the house. This would also stop the possibility of problems occurring that might happen if the user had fans that were too big. And it would also make the project a lot simpler.
Our project will save money and reduce CO2 emissions at the same time, which is something that the world needs right now. Thank you for listening.